Hello neighbors, it's Brad here at eTrailer, and today we're going to be taking a look at the MORryde Rubber Pin Box for a fifth wheel trailer that's cushioned on a 2021 Forest River Cherokee Arctic Wolf. So this pin box is a direct replacement, and it's designed to replace the Lippert Rhino Box. So you'll actually see later on we do a driving test between the two, and you're going to see them both in action. Now this does have a lot of nice features that really sets this above the Rhino Box itself. First off, this is maintenance free. There's nothing to have to worry about or go in and check. There is a shear spring in here, and what that is a rubber pad that allows the slight movement, and it'll absorb as the trailer wants to shift around. You can also see it slides on these shafts and also has these pucks here that allow for it to move. These curved edges on the front and back will keep it from overextending either way. And you have a total of 3 inches of movement forward and back and 1.5 inches side to side. Installation was pretty straightforward, so since it's a direct replacement for the Rhino Box, we were actually able to use the new hardware in the existing holes. So with the help of a friend, it's pretty easy to do. So on our Forest River, there's a few different options for pin boxes, and one of those would be an airbag system like the Trail Air MORryde. Now those also work well at reducing the amount of chucking while driving and just giving you a more comfortable feel. But with the airbag does come some added maintenance at times. And you also have to worry if the bag leaks or doesn't have the right supply of air, you're not going to get a great ride. Whereas this one, there's no worry to that. It's simple and yet effective. So before we take this into the shop and show you the installation of it, I want to show you the test course footage to see why you might want to upgrade and why this might be a good choice for anyone that's towing an RV regularly. So this truck and camper came in with this gooseneck style pin box. Now we're going to drive this around the test course and see what it's like as the driver and see what we can feel. I'm going to walk you through that verbally, and you might be able to see some action with the GoPro. Okay, so we're setting out on our test course here, and starting off with the test course, there's a series of speed bumps, and so that's going to kind of simulate some rough terrain or even some rough city driving maybe on rough roads. So the first thing I'm hearing is some clunking, and that's going to be some of that chucking, and over these bumps I can feel the vehicle kind of surge back and forth with the trailer kind of pushing it. So it's just almost feels like, like a train. And the car's kind of going back and forth, which is a little unsettling. It's not a super comforting feeling going over this. It almost feels like it wants to unlatch, not that it will. But with the new pin box style in conjunction with the new receiver, I'm hoping that should smooth that out quite a bit and take that chucking down a little bit more. So that's going to give us a little more comfort, especially when you're getting to your campsite. It might be rougher terrain to get to. So to knock that chucking down adds a little bit of ease to your drive. You know, when you get to your campsite, and if your passengers have fallen asleep next to you, they will certainly be up if you're hitting rough terrain. Under normal driving, it seems pretty decent, but as I deaccelerate, you can feel that trailer kind of push it and kind of rock the truck. And this is a large truck, so to feel that is a little unsettling. So let's see if I can make this wide turn here. And something else that I'm going to point out is with this gooseneck style, this does allow for a lot more rotation in the hitch itself. So when we go to the other fifth wheel style, that's going to be really nice because that's going to keep it squared up a little more, a little less movement. And I've put myself into a predicament here, so let's see if I can salvage this. All right, so this is tight. Even stopping, the truck has just a couple seconds of back and forth movement, so it does feel unsettled. Not that the trailer is going to come off or anything like that, but it's not super comforting. And I've pulled plenty of trucks and trailers, but this gooseneck is a new for me. And it feels very, what's the word? Industrial. Very, like I'm driving one of these semis that's here in the lot. And, you know, I'm by no means a good driver. So let's see. Ooh, so hitting a few big bumps there. No chucking right now. No chucking. So I want to see, I'm going to hit the brakes and see what it does. Oh. So watch this. So I'm right at, we'll do 10 miles per hour here, which is a little quicker than I want to go. So 10, I'm going to hit the brakes and just 1, 2, 3, 4. Truck's still kind of unsettled. So that, if you're coming to an abrupt stop, I could imagine that chucking really being, adding a little more animosity to an already maybe tense situation if you're on the brakes quickly. So we'll hit the bumps one more time and see kind of what we're feeling, but really it just feels like you're kind of along for the ride, you know. The trailer and truck combination are just so they talked about porpoising, and that's going to be like the front end of the truck as the trailer presses down and kind of losing a little bit. The front will dip, will raise up like a porpoise, and I don't feel it yet. Okay, I kind of see that. As I'm turning and I hit the bump, or the back hits the bump, the front kind of just almost feels like it, not an understeer, but it's definitely, it unsettles the steering that it has. And even in this rough, the parking lot's got some bumps in it and some cracks. And even as I'm turning, I just kind of feel it's like a surge almost. So hopefully with the new pin, that should alleviate some of that and give maybe a little more confidence inspiring. So I'm really excited to see the night and day difference potentially that we get from the new installed parts. So through the test course, I see the chucking in effect, and I see the unsettling feeling it has coming to a stop. That truck kind of just goes back and forth for a couple seconds. So it is a little unsettling, especially if you're taking this to a campsite that might be a little off-road, which most are. So let's get the install going, and we're going to see what it's like after. So we're going to go ahead and remove this gooseneck here before installing our other one. Now, it's important to make sure that you don't have any electrical connections that are attached as this comes down. You don't want to rip those out. And the way we're going to do this here is you'll see 5 bolts. There's also 5 bolts on the other side. So we'll make sure to remove these. I'm going to leave this top one here, and then I'm actually going to leave the bottom one on here. You can loosen them up and make sure they're still in there. That way it's not going to kind of tilt when we're getting this thing loose and ready to take off. The back bolts on each side is actually going to have a nut. So you're going to want to take a 1/2-inch ratchet with a 15/16 socket on that back end. And remember to make sure that you leave 1 bolt on each side still in place. You can loosen it up, but that way this won't fall out. Okay. Now, with the help of a friend, we're going to take those bolts out, pull it out. Again, with the help of a friend, we're going to do it just like we uninstalled it by making sure that we have these placed, 1 on each side, 1 on top, 1 on bottom. So once we place those in place, kind of just holding it up, we have our washer and our bolt, as well as a lock washer. So we're going to go on the back side here, place the flat washer and your lock washer, and then just hand put these on, and we'll go back and tighten these up. So we have lock washers and nuts installed on all of these. So they're going to be a little tricky to get to these, So I'm going to use the impact on the outside with my socket on the back end. Now, you want it tight, but we're going to go back with a torque wrench and make sure that they're all torqued to spec. So no need to go crazy on them. You might alternate going from one side to the next. In fact, I'm going to work up here, and that way it kind of evenly distributes the tightening force on it. So now with the torque wrench, set it to the specifications that are in the instructions and go through and tighten all of your bolts. So I have a socket on the back end, and then once you have that in place, try to get it to a spot where it's going to rest against metal, and you can use that as leverage to get your specified torque. So with our pin box installed and also our new hitch, we're going to go see how this performs out on the test course and see the difference. Okay, so we officially have our new hitch and our pin box installed here, and we're off. So we're going to dive straight into the bumps here, see how it affects it. So before hitting the bumps the last time, felt like every transition the truck kind of had to bounce back and forth, chucked as they say, and just it was a rough ride. So right now I can tell you it is so much better. It really is absorbing it. Now granted, you are still hitting bumps in a truck towing an RV, so it's not the smoothest thing, but to know that it's not going back and forth throughout these is just already so much better. It's not rocking me back and forth each time. The truck feels a lot more poised. So let's go and we'll take a little loop here. So the last time I did a brake check at about 10 miles per hour, so we're going to do the same thing. And before, it was giving me probably 3 seconds of back and forth. There's actually a truck, so good timing. We'll hit the brakes. Wow, so much better. You do get a slight little push, but not like before where the whole truck felt like it was moving back and forth for those 3 seconds. It's very hard to quantify. This is something that, to show something in a vehicle that you can probably see from the movement on the pin box how much it's absorbing, but to feel it through the steering wheel is just truly awesome. Even turning before, it kind of chucked me forward a little bit, and it almost felt like it was pushing the front wheels, kind of skipping it as I was trying to turn. And right now it seems so much more poised. I mean, you absolutely know there's an RV behind you. There's no getting around that. But at the same time, the smoothness that I'm getting from it is just so much better. So I'm going to do another brake test because that really just showed it right away. So here we go. Wow. Seems like a normal truck. I mean, you just don't feel that weight really just shoving against you and fighting it. The truck just that absorption takes that shock away. So the truck itself just seems so much more poised, and it doesn't have to settle itself back down again for it to kind of get smooth. So let's hit these bumps again. Night and day difference. It just makes the towing system, the truck and the trailer itself, a lot more poised feeling, so much more comfortable, less terrifying. You definitely get a little more confidence inspiring with every turn, with every bump, with every stop. So again, it's hard for me to quantify it, but I can tell you right now behind the wheel, I am very impressed at the amount of difference this makes. So like I said before, around turns, it used to kind of want to shove the front and kind of scoop, and they call it porpoise, pick the nose up a little, and you lose a little steering feel. But right now I can tell you that it is so much better. Okay, well, I think that does it. Huge difference. And that's going to do it for a look and installation of the MORryde Rubber Pin Box for a fifth wheel on a 2021 Forest River Cherokee Arctic Wolf. Thanks for watching.